Hello everyone, this is Sky. So it's been a long time since I made a video of me sitting down and talking to you guys, but for today's video I'm going to share with you guys some of the tips that you will need to survive in Canada and also dissipate some of the myths. So first of all, Canada has two official languages, French and English, and I would say the further west you are, the least people speak French, but the further east you are, there's more people speaking French. However, I would say English is the most predominant language that is used throughout Canada. French is mainly used within Ontario and Quebec, the two eastern provinces, and some of the maritime provinces as well. So if you cannot speak French but you decide to visit Canada, it's not a big issue. Most people will be able to communicate in English. Number 3. Canada has 3 big cities, and that is Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. If you live in one of the 3 big cities, you will not have any trouble getting around if you don't have a car or a vehicle, because we have some pretty extensive public transit system. We have subways, also known as metros, we have buses, we have suburban trains, everything you need to get by. But taxis are rather expensive, so I would not encourage you to take them. As for the smaller cities, it will be pretty hard to get by without a car, especially around the winter time. Okay, so now here's the big news, guys. Canada has 4 seasons. It's not constantly winter. It is very cold during winter time. It's around, it could go from maybe 0 degrees Celsius up to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Now minus 40 does not occur very often or frequently, and when those time of the year does appear, we Canadians just stay indoors. We don't go outside, we don't parade around the streets and enjoy the cold weather. We also are human, so some of us actually have very low tolerance for the cold and prefer to stay indoors during winter time. If you visit or live around the border of Canada and the United States, you will notice that usually winter could be a bit long, but spring and summer are rather hot. It could go up to 30 degrees Celsius, and sometimes maybe even more. It depends on the year, but our weather is quite unpredictable. Sometimes around May we still have snow, but that is quite rare. Usually around March, that's when all the snow melts. One thing that I have noticed when I was visiting Europe and Asia is that things tend to be a lot more closer as opposed to Canada, where everything is more spaced out. Well, it's obvious because we have a lot of space and a lot of area to cover, so we tend to make things bigger and have them more spaced out. For example, in a lot of cities I visited in Europe, I noticed that you can get around just walking around the city, and there's a lot of things surrounding you, such as stores, big malls, and so on. But in Canada and the United States, I've noticed that usually people drive around, because if you want to go to a certain area, it could be quite far. For Montreal, I know if you want to go from one side of the city to the other extremity, it takes about 1 or 2 hours, and that is without traffic. So as you see, it could be a pretty long drive. If you come to visit Canada during winter, or if you come studying here, I would highly suggest you invest in some good winter gears. Now that means a very warm coat, a pair of winter boots that will prevent you from slipping and sliding on ice, and also I would suggest you buy yourself like the whole set. A winter hat, scarf, gloves. Another thing about winter is that if there's a lot of ice outside and you feel like it's very difficult to walk, the trick is to walk like a penguin. Just slow down and take tiny steps. There's really no magic to it. You just need to master the penguin walk. Aside from that, I hope that you will come to this country with an open mind. Everyone is very, I would say, accepting of religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, just about everything we can accept. But there's an exception, and that is for rudeness. When you ask for things, remember to say please and thank you all the time. In terms of living expenses and just going out to eat and shopping, I will say that Canada is a bit higher than the United States in terms of pricing, but far, far, far lower than Europe. I was astonished by how expensive everything is in Paris, and just overall eating out was very, very expensive there. Around here, you can probably get yourself a pretty good meal around 10 to 20 Canadian dollars. Yes, we are hockey fanatics, but not all of us are. Most people, however, I would say are really into hockey. It's kind of like the national sport. We do not say A. I don't know why people think that Canadians would say A a lot. We actually don't. As for our media culture, it's very similar to the American media culture. We follow basically everything that's kind of American, but for Quebec, Montreal especially, we have our own local popular media that people follow a lot. So that is all for today's video. If you guys are going to visit Canada, please leave us where you're going in the comments below, and if you have any questions, also leave them there. So please click like and subscribe. Thank you! See you next time!